Hey everybody, hey, welcome back to the 53206 cast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Meg.
And Meg.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
You're a mom.
I am.
And today's the day you celebrate.
Well, I appreciate you
moms.
saying that because our kids are still asleep and it's what, 9:30 in the morning?
Yeah, it's getting later in the morning.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll get
teens. They're both teens now, right?
Yeah. Hopefully
they'll.
Teens. I mean, I did make them sour cherry scones this morning. I mean, I made them for me, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
You
them.
just made enough for everybody.
Yeah. It's a big
I think
batch.
you have to make. You couldn't make just 2.
It's 3 cups of flour, so it's a good amount. Yeah.
But Meg, this week, should we say what the podcast is about?
Yeah.
Did you want to say it?
No, you can.
Well, Meg, this is in fact a podcast.
It is.
And this is a podcast about areas of concentrated poverty, in particular 53206, which is the poorest zip code in the state of Wisconsin and where we have called home for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Meg, this week we started working on the, I think we call it the garden house.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, the houses have different names.
Yeah.
It just makes it easier than saying the blue one, because if there's like 2 blue ones.
And like the White House in the corner is no longer white, but we still call it the White House on the corner.
Yeah, so the houses have a name, and,
Yeah.
and this house is called the garden house
Yeah.
because it is right next to the flower farm.
It is, yes.
And you started, well, the interesting thing about the flower farm is when we started working with We Got This, we noticed that we just needed more space to put the kids to do work.
Yeah.
And there was these 3 empty lots down the street from us that had been emptied for years.
And that had, nothing had ever been on it. And they were, at one point people have just parked there, just randomly, and they would just be dumped on all the time. So they
get
just
dumped
a nuisance.
on. Yeah, essentially, what do we call it? A liability instead of being an asset.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so a couple years ago, you started. We started clearing out trees and weeds that had overgrown the area, and eventually started putting in planter boxes little by little. And then I don't know if it was last year or the year before, you said, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had a little flower farm area?" And
me and the other kids started dreaming about it, and it was actually really fun. Yesterday, we were working at the flower farm, and one of the girls, who she's my favorite. I mean, let's just be honest here. She was telling her friend who she brought all about the flower farm, and she's like, yeah, me and Miss Megan, we like dreamed it up, and we decided we were going to plant more straw flower this year. And she was so proud of it. It was really fun to see just how, like, her spark about growing flowers, her spark about, being involved in the process. And we planted straw flower yesterday, snapdragons, feverfew. What else did we plant? Status.
Okay.
And so we kind of got our first planting in. So I need to start watering over there, which is exciting because one of the reasons that we bought the flower house was so that we would have early access to a hose.
True. Yeah. So it is difficult to get water at these, at the different gardens that We Got This has. And one of the perks of owning that house is that we could use the water.
Yeah, we use city
365 days a year. We're always watering.
We use water. The city of Milwaukee gives us water, or we pay for it, but through the hydrants. But we do not get that water until sometimes middle of June, and so it's just, if you're a gardener, you're like, all right, I want to start growing stuff.
Right. Yeah, because you can start. Well, isn't Mother's Day the unofficial?
I think
start
it is.
of the growing season
in
for southeastern Wisconsin. I don't know if it is or not, but
why not?
So we started working on the garden house the last couple of days, and we've owned it probably for a little over a year now, and it just haven't. I always knew, okay, well, no work is going to be done until basically now. Yeah. And it's now, so it's time to start.
Yeah, and I had some thoughts about you working on the garden house because let's just go back let's go back 3 houses. So 3 houses ago, you were working at Charlie's house. And Charlie was he was an incredible neighbor. He lived on 8th Street with his family since the 40s.
As a kid, and then eventually moved back into the house as an adult.
His backyard, we called it the secret garden because you would go into it. Like I would take our old dog Cajun on walks, and he would be like, "Oh, come and look at my come and look at my pear tree, come and look at my apple tree. And like all of these trees that were like incredibly beautiful, flourishing, like he planted from seed. Like, and like, you don't do that anymore. Like, that's insane. You go to Home Depot and you buy like a 10-year-old tree. So Charlie's house had his footprint all over it. And you talk about a lot about Charlie's house in the book Bad Neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Which feel free to look it up on Spotify and on Apple. You can download it for free. But Charlie's house was just such a beautiful reflection of who Charlie was and how much care Charlie put into everything he did. I think one of the stories that like always stands out to me is you talked about how when you were working on it, you went into a closet and you saw, what was it? Can you tell that story?
Well, yeah, like in the closets, there are these kind of neat little like shoe cubbies that just came originally to the house. Yeah. But inside of the shoe cubby was newspapers from like the 1960s and 70s covering the floor so that when you put your shoes in the shoe cubby, they wouldn't, I don't know, mess up the floor. It wouldn't mess it up. I guess.
Yeah. But like everything was so beautiful. And I think like living in our house for the last 20 years, like all the wood's been painted or like, sure. like all the doors are scratched or, like just people have lived in it.
Because of that dog.
Oh my gosh, because of Cajun. Yeah, that's very true. But I feel like I'm looking at a scratch right now and I'm like, yeah, Cajun did that. But I think there was so much care at Charlie's house. And so, and then you moved on to working at the White House in the Corner. Mm-hmm. And the White House in the Corner, another crazy, just completely 180 situation because there were Kia boys living at the White House in the Corner. And so there were bullet holes all over in the inside of the house. All the windows had been shot out. It was not well taken care of. That's another, is that in the book Bad Neighborhoods or did we just do? Yeah. Okay. So that's in the book Bad Neighborhoods too. And we talk a lot about the owner, Kelsey, who was a 26-year-old from California who really just owned the house for her portfolio and didn't really invest in it at all. Just really was trying to earn money from the house. And so that house was just so different. And so then, I wanted you to reflect a little bit on the garden house because we've talked in the past about the woman who came probably 15 years ago. She came to our door. She lived at the flower house. She owned it. Her parents owned it. They gave it to her when they died. She was a bus driver and she came to my door and it must have been after Dex was born. So maybe 13 years ago. I mean, it was, I feel like Dex was probably real small, but I remember I was working. So I saw her come up on the porch and she came and she said, I owe some taxes. I am scared that, people are saying that my house is going to get foreclosed on. Can you buy my house? Mm-hmm. And, we weren't in a position financially to be able to afford that house. And, I feel so bad. I wish I could have talked to her. I wish I could have given her resources. There's so many more things that I know now that she didn't have to sell her house, but she sold her house out of fear and she sold it to a predatory.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly who exactly she sold it to or what the deal was with that. One of the things that the house needed, and, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily, it got this repair, but it wasn't particularly great. It needed to be painted. Mm-hmm. Was one of the things, and she was like, I can't afford to have my house painted. Yeah. And it's interesting because I'm on some of these appeal boards now for the city of Milwaukee, and I hear some people talk about the challenges that they face when they are given an order by the city to do something on their house. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have, there shouldn't be some demands may be made on some people for keeping their property at a certain at a certain level, and it probably needed to be painted. But when you're talking about painting a house, I don't know how old she was, probably 55 or 60. Yeah. She's not getting up on a ladder and painting her entire house. Yeah. And so you're faced with an order from the city, and those they don't go away ever. And they'll make it financially worth your while to do the work, mm-hmm. meaning they'll fine you until you do it. Yeah. Or, and it's not even that they'll fine you until you do it, because I've talked to some of the people, and they're not terrible, mean people, but there's certain policies in place that are basically made to force you to do this work on your building. And again, good, bad, I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle, but she had gotten these letters in the mail saying, you're required to fix the paint on your house. And she knew that, based on the amount of, so in addition to that, then they start fining you, and then those fines go on your taxes.
Yeah.
And so if you owed $1,000 in taxes one year, the next year it could be $2,000 because you've got $1,000 in fines.
And I believe she owed about $30,000 with her taxes and with the fines.
Maybe
on her house. I think it was something like that. And so what she did was she sold the house to somebody who said that they would just take care of the fines.
Sure. Well, yeah. So the way a lot of times the way that this works is, you are on the hook for the tax bill no matter what. So if we owed $30,000 in taxes, that doesn't, just because we sell, the building, like we still, we owe the taxes.
Yeah.
Right. And so, somebody will come along and say, well, you owe, okay, let's call it 30,000. I don't think it was. I think it was more like half of that, like 15. But let's say it was 30.
It made her scared. It was money that she could not afford. Being a bus driver, she could not afford it. School bus driver.
So only working 5 hours a day.
Sure.
So you get somebody that'll come and say, okay, well, you owe, say, $30,000. Well, we'll buy the house for $30,000.
Yeah.
Which clears you of the taxes. Yeah. All the money goes to the city. For the taxes. Yeah. And then someone else then owns the house. And one of the things you asked, to reflect on a little bit, one of the things that I am wondering is, okay, so that was, let's call it 13 years ago. So 13 years ago this happened, and this woman Tiffany had to find a different place to live for the next 13 years. And when I think about the condition of the property, I don't think that there was a net gain in the condition of the property, having it been sold, and then it was sold one more time. Okay. We bought it from somebody that lives in Georgia. Yeah. I think I want to say a church bought the house, which, or at least the LLC makes it seem like it had some sort of religious affiliation. Okay. It could be whatever. Sure. You could make up an LLC in any name you want. Yeah. But so they, in those exchanges, the building now, when I walked into it, it wasn't great, but you could still live there. Okay. And now when I walk in it, obviously you can't.
Wait. When you walked in, when?
So when Tiffany came to our door to ask us if we wanted to buy it, I went and looked at it. Yeah. Because I should at least go look at it. Sure. And I like looking at houses, so okay, well, I'll go look at it. And some of the electrical didn't really work. Yeah. Which isn't great because that means something. If the power is on, but your outlets don't work, something's going on. That's not how it's supposed to be, and that's what causes problems. Yeah, house fire. Yeah. But that never happened. But so the building now as it stands, and we see this a lot. There's it's like fits and starts or starts and stops, or I don't know. There's something.
I don't know.
I don't know what the saying is, and I feel like I've said that before, and I don't know what the actual saying is. But you can tell okay, somebody wanted to fix the walls, so they drywalled over the plaster on the walls. Okay. Now, if I was going to do that, I might tear off the plaster. I'm not opposed to the way they did it. It's not. It's kind of hokey, but it's fine. Okay. You can make it look okay. But none of the baseboards were removed when they did it. So all the drywall is sitting flush with the baseboards. So it looks weird. It's you would never, doing contractor work, I would never say this is how we should approach fixing a wall, is to do it this way.
It's all half-assed.
Yeah. Somebody didn't really know what they were doing. Somebody had, some money, didn't know what they were doing, and threw it at this building, probably getting the lowest possible quality and priced individual to come and do work on it. And the end result is something that's not even usable. It actually just made it probably harder to go. And I always say I'm thinking about the house that we bought from the slumlord. That house had some work done to it, but the work that I had to repair was the work that was done there was more repairs done to the work that someone else did than the stuff that was originally there.
It would have been just better off if they just had not done anything and you could do it from scratch. Yeah.
So part of what when I'm over there, I'm thinking like, was it actually in the best interest of, the neighborhood for her to be kind of forced into selling her house?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I clearly she couldn't afford the taxes that were on it already, but I don't know. I think I would rather have somebody stable living there than how it has been.
Yeah.
And over the last year, we've cut the grass and kept the junk out of it and kept it boarded up and, secure so people aren't living in it.
Well, and I just want to point out too, so like the orders were for it being painted and it was painted the ugliest color blue.
Oh, sure.
possible.
And it wasn't like, yes, exactly.
It's an eyesore now. Like it was chipping paint. It was brown. Was it brown?
I think it was black. I think the whole house was black.
Yeah. Okay.
So it wasn't great looking.
Yeah. But bright blue isn't better.
No. So, and I don't have like a moral to the story for this one other than saying, I just don't know. And I don't even know what kind of intervention could have taken place or anything. But when I am, thinking about it, like, okay, well, if, she couldn't afford it, it wasn't like there were people lining up that could afford it that would do the amount of work that it needed to be brought back up to kind of how it should be. And, so I don't know. I don't know what because I'm always trying to figure out what's the, if I was to be in charge of all of it, what would I recommend or how would I approach that? And, I would rather that she was in there, living in there, because she had to move out and she was in there living fine. And then as soon as she moved out, it, kind of fell apart, because, whatever.
Well, and like, I mean, I feel like I see it as just such a loss for her and her family. Sure. I think when we talk about like, especially like Black generational wealth, like she lost all of that. Like she got literally nothing out of that house. And, I just feel like that just sucks. And that like, we see that over and over again where people are like scared. And so they kind of make these rash decisions because they're given, like not all the information and, just taking advantage of people who don't deserve that. And, I just think that is a really unfair situation that people prey on, our neighborhood because they just don't have all the information and they don't want to keep getting fined. Yeah.
Well, and I think, and I would even say it's more of a poverty issue. I don't know the demographic backgrounds of the other individuals that owned it.
Yeah.
But I think it's, if you have money and then somebody that doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a way to go about doing a transaction like that that's fair and appropriate and kind.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this was necessarily fair, appropriate, or kind.
Yeah.
But, can't go back and change that 10, 12 years later. But I do really wonder though, was that the right, did the right thing happen with that? And I've been, so like I said, I've been on this appeals board thing, and
you're what are you? What's your title?
I don't know. I'm on the administrative board of appeals.
So, and listeners, just so back up just a second. So I was like, okay, Alex should be on this board for dumping because they started this new not dumping,
like a task force.
Sure,
kind of
task
thing.
force.
I don't know.
And I was like, oh, Alex should be on this. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna apply for you for this. And he didn't get on that one, but he got on a different one. And it's the like people appeal.
Yeah, like if you if it snowed and you didn't shovel your sidewalk and you got caught for not shoveling your sidewalk, you would get fined.
Okay.
Like they would come and the city would contract somebody to come clean up your sidewalk.
Okay, sure.
And then you would have to pay for that person to come, whoever has the contract to clear up the sidewalks. Yeah. But sometimes there's a mistake that's made, or like I've seen some where, and it's not anybody's fault, but like it was shoveled.
Yeah.
And then they came and they shoveled it a little bit more. And then we're like, so as a part of that process, I can say, come on, we're not going to charge you for a quarter of an inch worth of snow on your sidewalk.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. So, but as a part of that, I am reminded, and it's something I already knew, but I'm reminded that the people that are, a part of the city government, they're just regular people that have a job.
Yeah.
Just a regular, it's not anything.
So it's you and other volunteers.
On the board, yeah.
And no one gets paid.
No, it's just a non-paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had been meaning to ask that actually.
But you but you interact with like the head of the Department of Neighborhood Services, some public works, the forestry department. Like you interact with these people because when somebody is appealing something, the board listens to it, but then you need like the higher level person that has the
to say like
the
what
government
the actual
job
rules are. Yeah,
and then they can and they're for the most part they're pretty decent. Like, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. This is obviously And pretty much any time that we grant an appeal, it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which is what it's for.
Yeah.
But I've been reflecting on that. They're just regular, normal people doing what they think is the right thing to do in the situation. Yeah. So,
given the information they
the information that they have, right? So, one of the things that I'm always interested in is okay, well, if you have been given, some information that makes you want to interact in this specific way. So, for example, 12 years ago, somebody told somebody to go look at this house because the paint wasn't great. Yeah. And then, you then went through a process that basically meant that you were having to sell your house.
Yeah.
Is there a new level of understanding that could exist in the future where that doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is there somewhere where you're like, okay, well, we can go above and beyond to work with this person, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what the thing is that could be done, but if the end result is not a net positive, and again, like working with these people and realizing, oh, you're just a regular person. Yeah. You're just a regular person that probably worked hard to get this job that you have now. Yeah. And you probably like your job. Yeah. And you want to do a good job. Yeah. You're not necessarily some of these people aren't great, but most of them are. They just want to do the right thing in the right situation. And they don't want to contribute to the decline of the neighborhood.
Yes.
They want to see the neighborhood be fruitful.
Yeah.
So if there was a way of thinking that got that house in that particular situation, well, what would be the line of thinking that would have caused a better outcome than what we got? Because what we got wasn't really great.
It declined the neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, it has been a decline on it. And in fact, if we hadn't bought that house, it would have been, I believe, a tax foreclosure and demolished, which would have meant, I think we ended up paying, it was over $20,000. I don't know what the exact number was, but it was somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 of back taxes. So that put money back into the city government. And made it so that it didn't have to get torn down, which would be another 15 at least thousand.
Yeah.
And by the way, when they're tearing these things down, it's not like it's good. Sometimes it's really good. Like when the burned down house got torn down, that's good. But it's also like, I don't know what's going to ever go there again.
Well, and I was, it's funny you say that because we were previous to this, we were kind of talking about like, if our neighborhood's kind of like better or worse, from the last, would we let our kids go play? And one of the things that I was thinking about was there used to be this guy that lived on 9th Street, and his name was Jeff. And Jeff was always out on his porch, and he was always looking out at the playground. And like if our kids were over there, I knew that Jeff was kind of like keeping an eye on things.
Sure.
And it was always like really, really nice that like, okay, Jeff's there. Well, Jeff's house caught on fire and nothing's going on with Jeff's house. And I feel like that's another one that's probably going to be demolished. And I thought, man, that's just so sad that there's like not a replacement for like Jeff, because Jeff had to move out. Like all the stuff got ruined. But I think like when we're saying like these houses just get demolished, like there's not somebody who's being a productive, person that can like, and there's not somebody that's helping the neighborhood.
Yeah. And it's almost like, cause Meg, I used to work at the schools and, I worked in some that were big enough where you kind of just had to have, it was like almost like they didn't have like a soul. don't know if that's like hard to.
Yikes! Yeah, well, yikes.
But like it's so big, and you have so many, and you just have to have rules. And I like after working there, I was like, yeah, I kind of get that. Like you kind of just have to have.
Yeah.
It has to be more, not really strict, but like concrete, like black and white.
Okay.
Because if you got into some
murky situations.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many people that you kind of had to be more that way.
Okay.
And I didn't really, I don't know that I loved that. I liked the, like, having a little bit of flexibility and creative thinking and solving a student issue or something like that. Like, I would rather, instead of suspending you, like, if you were drawing on the walls in the bathroom, instead of suspending you, I'd rather that you had to clean up the walls in the bathroom. Like things like that, right?
Yeah. Or do a mural in the bathroom.
Or do that, something like that. Yeah.
Didn't you do that with a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, but you can't do that.
Yes.
I understand the limitations of that when you have so many people. So, if I, was thinking about, this, like the burned down house that got torn down or this house or the one that was next to this house that got torn down about a year ago or the one on the corner that got torn down.
Yeah, a lot of them have on 9th Street, have been torn down.
Like I like that, you don't want a building to be dangerous.
Yeah.
But you're kind of like, well, we're getting rid of if I was going to build a brand new house, it would be so cost prohibitive to do that here because you have to put a foundation and a basement and the plumbing that goes the sewer line out to the street just so cost prohibitive. You can't do it. But like we're tearing down these things that have basements and plumbing and water service and electrical service already basically there to it. Yeah. And so it just makes me wonder, like, is this the best way? So, I think, one of the things that we like to try to do on this podcast is just like think about what would, I don't know, if you could magically change or pivot in some way, what would that be to make it a little bit better? And working on that house makes me think about that a little bit. It was, as a, the people that I interact with on the review board are just regular people doing a regular person's job, and they're told what to do by somebody else who at some point thought that was the right thing to do. Yeah. Is there a different maybe thing that would be the right thing to do? And I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. Yeah. But it does make me wonder because, if we're going to tear down all the houses in the neighborhood, they were at some point salvageable. Yeah. And is there an intervention before we get to that point that they're getting torn down that we should be pushing that maybe would be more beneficial in the long run?
And especially for people who have lived there for so long.
Yeah.
I think that's like, that almost needs to be like a caveat. Like, okay, if you've lived there for more than 10 years, like you're a staple in the neighborhood.
Like, so, I mean, I don't know Tiffany's situation, but she probably then moved into a low income subsidized housing situation, which is like, well, if that cost, if her taxes were $3,000, but we taxpayers are paying $3,000 a month to subsidize her housing somewhere else, like, did that make sense? No, probably not, because we would have, we're probably in the hundreds of thousands of dollars now in subsidizing, when we could have just said, well, don't worry about painting your house.
Yeah, or we'll help you find a painter that's cheap and help get that. Like, you can pay it off over the next 10 years.
Or, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is, because the solutions a lot of times involve people volunteering. Yeah. Or, somebody not hoarding their own resources.
Sure. Yeah.
But, it does make me wonder, like, well, did that actually have like the net positive effect that we wanted? Because it didn't. Like, in the orders to paint the house did not, because it looks like shit. Yep. And the work that was done was not good. Yep. And nothing really great has been done to it. Like, any of the work that was done to it is going to get torn out and replaced.
And it's like, it's been transient. People have not stayed there because it's been really crappy.
Right. So like, so did that do what we wanted it to do? No. And I would say in this instance, no, it did not do what we wanted it to do. Yeah. So does that mean then there is something that we could have done that would have, or should we just have done nothing? because that could be an option too. She would just have left her alone and let her, pay the minimum in taxes to keep the property. Yeah. And at least, she has a place to live. We're not paying for her to live somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
she's a positive person in the neighborhood.
Right. And then, the market corrects like it is now, and, she could maybe get something for it, and then go, now, she's probably, say she was 60 then, and now she's 70, and now it is actually time to go live in a place that's subsidized. Well, then maybe
she could get some money to go do that and pay for it herself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it just makes me wonder, like, is that, and the answer might be, that was actually the right thing to do.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I feel like as you're saying that now, like a very similar thing happened to the house next door to us.
Sure.
Miss Maggie's house, like where she got nothing for her house, and then she had to, she was in assisted living.
Yeah.
So I feel like, it happens a lot more.
Right. But even in that scenario, like if she had been behind on her taxes, like she was way better off being able to stay there as long as as long as she was physically able to stay there. It was just better off.
Yeah.
Because like if something really did break, like she'd figure out how to get it.
Yes.
She'd hire somebody or get somebody or whatever. It would get.
She had enough family and she had enough people in her life that would help her out.
Yeah. So I don't know. So it just makes me wonder. Yeah, was that the right move? Is that, or was that not? And what could be learned from that? Kind of into the future.
Yeah. All right. Well. I do have something to plug.
Oh, okay.
Weber's Greenhouse is still. You can still buy plants we got this community garden. We got this is going to have many new boxes where we are going to need a lot of plants to fill the boxes. So go to Weber's Greenhouse. Just Google Weber's Greenhouse Milwaukee and you'll find out. And they have a whole, they have a spot where you can buy like $20 worth of plants. Feel free to go in. Weber's Greenhouse is beautiful.
It's nice.
It's got great. Did you go there yet? I haven't
been yet.
I need to go there this week. Yeah, they have like, as a gardener, I'm like, get your tomatoes here, get your peppers here, like go there because you're gonna get really good stuff that produces well. So yeah, that's my plug.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.